watching. Today we are making the most amazing bread. We're going to make some French baguettes. Now, with most bread, it's quite easy to make. It just takes a little while, so you've got to be patient. Okay, so to make our French baguettes, first of all, you've seen the ingredients on the previous page. We're going to put our warm water into our bowl. So we've got 270 mils of warm water. And into that, we are going to put a teaspoon. Now, I'm using golden granulated sugar, just because that's what the recipe says. But you can use granulated sugar like your grown-ups might have in their tea or coffee. So just 1 spoonful of that, sprinkle that into the water. And then we need a sachet of time saver yeast, or easy bake yeast it's called. It's 11 grams. If you've got it in a little pot, then just pop 11 grams in. But it's easier just to use one of these. So I'm going to sprinkle that on top, and then I'm going to mix it all together. Okay, now it does smell a bit funny when you mix it. The yeast has got quite a strong smell to it. Oopsie. So give it a good mix round until you can't see the lumps of the yeast, because obviously when you mix a dry powder with water, it can go a little bit lumpy. So just give that a little whiz round. There we go. It looks, can you see it? Not really. Looks just a little bit gloopy, really. Okay. Right, and once we've got all that mixed in, all the lumps don't have to be out. You don't have to worry about that. I've got a little bit stuck on my wooden spoon, so we'll just get rid of that. When you mix it with your flour, then it'll look a little bit better. Now, what we've got then, I've got my flour, so I've got 450 grams of white bread flour and 2 teaspoons of salt, which I've sieved into the bowl. Okay, just gets rid of all the lumps. And then I'm going to put half of this into my yeast mixture. Okay, now I've got my white bowl on a scale. So a little bit maths for you. What's half of 470? But don't forget we've put 2 teaspoons of salt in, which is about 10 grams. So in here we've got about 460. Sorry, did I? 450 grams of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, which makes 460. And then we're going to half it. Have a little think about that. It's 230. So I'm going to put 230 grams. Doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to pop that in there very quickly. One more maybe. There we go. You will need that a little bit later. So give your flour and yeast mixture a good mix round. Go careful when you're mixing it, because we don't want to make a mess everywhere, do we? So give it a good mix. It will go lumpy, but if you keep mixing, you'll get rid of most of them. Makes a nice sloppy gloopy sound as you're doing it. Okay. So as long as you've got most of the lumps out of it, that will be absolutely splendid. Splendid. Okay then, bakers. What we need to do now, just give it one last mix round. Mix. Okay, I'm going to tap and get rid of all that. Don't want to waste any off my wooden spoon. Okay, there we are. Okay, now comes the bit where you can get to do something that you quite like to do. So, as it's quite early in the morning, because that's when I make my bread, I'm going to leave my bread to prove. That's going to allow a chemical reaction to happen, and that is going to double in size up to an hour. Okay, up to an hour that's going to take. So, time for Mrs. Lansdowne's favourite, and I'm off for a cup of coffee. I'll see you in an hour. Okay, so I've left mine in an hour, so I'm just going to pop the camera down onto there. Let me see if I can focus it a little bit more. Hopefully you can see that's nice and bubbly now, and it's risen to about double to what it was before. Okay, so camera back up, and now we are going to tip the rest of our flour into our dough mixture. Okay, so pop that over there out the way. Now you're going to mix it all in together. Just go careful when you're mixing your flour, and if you go too quickly it'll puff out everywhere and make a right old mess, which you'll have to clean up. Okay, so you can see it is quite gloopy. Now, obviously remember when we're cooking we have to wash our hands, so before I started this I washed my hands again because you have got to get your hands dirty in a minute. Okay, so once it's nearly all mixed in, then comes the dirty hands bit. So get your dough from your wooden spoon like that. Okay, and then you've got to get your hands in it. I'm just squeezing it together. All right, you will get a little bit of flour coming out, but don't worry too much. As long as you clear up, boys and girls. Okay, so you need to keep squeezing your dough. Your hands will get sticky. Don't worry, it'll wash off. Okay, I'm just going to pop that bowl down while I'm doing it. Okay, so scrape all the flour around the edge and give it a good squeeze. It won't look all smooth like a ball of plasticine or dough at the moment because we have to knead it. Okay, so I think that's most of it. Can you see my hands really, really gloopy? Don't worry about it, it will come off as you knead it. Okay, so then we're going to put our dough onto, oh, Mrs. Lansdown, just put that down there for now, the work surface. So I'm just going to try with the spoon rather, and just get most of it off my hands. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera down to, there we go, the work surface. So you see I've got lots of little bits of dough everywhere. That's okay. I'm going to pick them all up, get them all stuck in, and you'll notice I haven't got any flour on my work surface. You shouldn't need any. Okay, so I'm going to start kneading my dough now. So push it out with the heel of your hands and then pull it back in. Okay, you can use one hand or two hands. Now, this is a good bit of fitness in the morning, good workout for your arms. You need to knead it for about 10 minutes until it goes all nice and smooth and beautiful. So give your bread a knead, and then, so pause the video, give your bread a knead for about 10 minutes, and then I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, I've been kneading mine for about 3 minutes now, and it's just starting to come together a bit more. Okay, it will be sticky. Don't be tempted to add extra flour, because once the gluten starts to work in your bread, it becomes nice and stretchy and sticky. So it's pushing it away, then you can pull it around and push it out that way so it keeps changing shape. But don't be tempted to stop after 5 minutes because your arms are aching. Oh, no, no, no. Bakers have nice, strong arms, so keep pushing it out. Change the direction of the dough. Quite hard work. Maybe you can get a grown-up to help you do this, but keep going. Okay, so after 10 minutes of kneading, you should have a lovely ball of stretchy, lovely dough. Now, we're going to make 3 baguettes, not the great big long ones, but ones that are about the length of a ruler. So I'm going to pop my ruler down now, and I'm going to weigh my dough. Okay, so your dough should be about the same, about 700 grams. Okay, now we need to evenly split our dough. It doesn't have to be exactly. Okay, now get a grown-up to help you cut it. It's easier to do it with a sharp knife than pull it apart because it's very stretchy. So each piece of dough needs to be around about 230 grams. Doesn't have to be perfect. If one's 220, that one was 220. Oh, that one's 250. I might take a little bit off that one. Give it to that one. Okay. Okay, they're all roughly, as I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now you need to shape your dough into a baguette. So the first thing we're going to do is pat it out, push it down with the heel of our hand until it goes into an oblong. And then you pull the top in, pull the bottom in, and change its direction. And do it again. So into a nice rectangle. Okay, top in, bottom in, and do it again. Okay, right, this is the third time. Top, bottom, give it a turn. Okay, this is the last time we're doing this process. So then we're going to pull that in, pull that in. Okay, now you get to make a nice sausage shape with your dough. So just like you would be doing if you were making a snake or a worm. Now, you do have to push down on the dough quite a bit and pull it out, okay? Now, if it looks like it's stretching or tearing, don't worry. Breathing quite hard, it's quite good exercise baking bread. Okay. So it's about, can you see that? About the same length as my ruler. Now what we're going to do with it is we're going to pop it onto a baking tray. Now we are going to grease the baking tray. I'm just using my old butter paper. You just use a bit of whatever you've got, margarine. Spread it around with a bit of kitchen roll. Just helps the dough not to stick. So I'm going to put my first one on there like that. Now if you put it over towards the edge, not right on the edge, because we've got to get 3 on with and they need to be evenly spaced. So pause the video and get your 3 baguettes rolled out. Okay, boys and girls, so we've got our 3 baguettes on our baking tray. We're nearly there. Baking bread can be hard work, but oh my goodness, it's going to taste amazing. So now your bread has to have a second proof. So you're going to leave your bread on the baking tray for about an hour. Now generally we leave bread in a warm place, but kitchens are generally warm places. So you can just leave it on the work surface as long as it's not in the way, or on top your draining board, wherever you want to leave it, but don't leave it in a draft. If you've got a kitchen window open, don't leave it near the kitchen window because it needs to be warm for the bread to proof. So another hour until they've doubled in size. Come back and check them in a half an hour and see what a difference it's made. Right then, nearly ready to go in the oven. So my baguettes have proved, they've been proving for about an hour. So you can see the shape has changed. They've fluffed up and spread out a little bit. Now, you might need the help of a grown-up here because you do need a sharp knife. It's got to be quite sharp. So you might have to ask your grown-up to supervise if they're happy for you to do it, or ask them to do it for you. Now, when you buy a baguette in the supermarket, they've got some marks going across them in a diagonal line. And that's what we're going to use our sharp knife for. So, we're going to just drag it across the top. Okay. I generally do 4 in mine. I like even numbers. Okay, well now. And what that does is when the bread is baking, it allows it to grow a little bit more and it gives it a nice pattern on the top, makes it look very professional. Okay, now these are going to go in the oven at 180 fan, 200 electric, or gas mark 6. It's quite a warm oven. They're only going to bake for 20 minutes. Now, put a timer on, keep an eye on the clock, because you don't want to let them do any longer. I've baked these quite a few times and they take exactly 20 minutes. Now, the next little bit you will need a grown-up's help for. When you pop them in the oven, I always put them in the middle of the oven. When you pop them in the oven, you want to flick some water. If you've got a spray bottle, I haven't, I just got a little dish, and I just flick a little bit of water on the bottom of the oven for the first 5 minutes. And what that does, it creates a little bit of steam and makes the crust of these baguettes absolutely beautiful. So, 20 minutes. Get a grown-up to help you with the oven bit. See you shortly. Okay, boys and girls, so I've taken mine out the oven. They've been exactly 20 minutes now. Make sure a grown-up helps you. I've got my oven mitts on. Now, trick with bread is when you take it off your, a little bit stuck. Let me take that one off. I didn't grease that part of the baking tray. Turn it over. Obviously, you need to use an oven glove or tea towel or something because they are hot, and tap them. Okay, if they sound hollow, they are cooked. So then transfer them onto a baking tray. There we go. Oh, just stuck a little bit, and leave them to cool down. You don't want to be eating hot bread. Warm bread is okay. I would leave them for about half an hour if you want to eat them warm with some soup or put some cheese into it, or leave them to cool down. You can have a scrummy sandwich at lunchtime. I hope you enjoy your baguettes. Post us a picture. Let us know how you get on. See you next time.